2020 is now over. How do we describe this year? Some may say this is the most terrible year in his life because he lost his family member in a war or lost wealth during the pandemic. But some may say it's a wonderful because his wealth increased dramatically during the same period of time and he finally had enough time to stay with his family. Well, the image of 2020 might be obscure. What does it look like exactly? Although human beings can't describe it clearly, let's ask the real news around the world in this year. On January 1st, in central China's Wuhan city, the local health department found 27 special pneumonia cases. For the virus origin, we still don't know. On January 3rd, the U.S. killed Iran's most powerful general, Qasem Soleimani, in Baghdad joint strike. This is equal to the declaration of a war which is totally a national terrorism. Maybe many of you have forgotten that person would be Iran's top leader in the near future. On January 13th, Australia's deadly wildfires were put off. The country had been ravaged by the worst wildfires in decades for 4 months. At least 1.25 billion animals were killed. On January 23rd, public transport suspended in Wuhan city, the epicenter of coronavirus in China, to combat the spread of virus. That was the toughest period for China to contain the disease. After one day, 2 makeshift hospitals started to be constructed in Wuhan, and after only a week, the hospitals were completed. On January 25th, a magnitude 6.8 earthquake hit eastern Turkey. At least 36 people died, over 1,600 injured. On January 27th, Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest basketball players, was killed in the wreckage at the age of 41 in Los Angeles. But he's not the only sports superstar who bid farewell to the world this year. On November 25th, Argentina soccer legend Diego Maradona, who died at age 60, succumbed to heart failure. On January 21st, the UK formally left the European Union after 47 years of membership. On February 12th, around 680 billion desert locusts invaded East Africa. From March 9th to 18th, the U.S. stock exchanges halted trading 4 times within 10 days as coronavirus fears sent stock prices plummeting in a mass sell-off. Meanwhile, U.S. crude oil prices fell below $20 a barrel, close to their lowest level in 18 years. Warren Buffett's trade looks like everyone else's, for once. On March 27th, the number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the U.S. surpassed China. With over 80,000, the U.S. became the country with the most infected cases in the world. On April 3rd, confirmed global cases passed 1 million. On April 28th, more than 1 million people in the U.S. were infected by the coronavirus and over 56,000 were killed by the virus. On May 25th, George Floyd, a black man, was killed in Minneapolis, Minnesota, while being arrested for allegedly using the counterfeit bail. The death of Floyd led to anti-racism protests and demonstrations against police brutality across the United States and around the world, with protesters calling for racial equality and police reforms. On June 1st, over 2 million people were infected by southern China floods. On July 7th, the United States submitted formal notice it will withdraw from World Health Organization. On June 20th, UAE's first interplanetary mission launched. The Hope Mars orbiter becomes the 9th active mission on Mars. This is also the first Arab nation to launch interplanetary mission. On July 23rd and 30th, China and the US both launched their own Mars orbiters. On July 21st, the US government demanded China to close its Houston consulate within 22 hours. After 3 days, China ordered closure of U.S. consulate in Chengdu in tit-for-tat move. The Chengdu residents set fireworks on that day. On the last day of July, China's Beidou 3 navigation satellite system was officially launched for world service. Besides GPS navigation, Chinese people have another choice. On August 4th, over 190 were killed, more than 6,500 people injured in a huge explosion in Beirut, Lebanon. On August 7th, the former U.S. President Donald Trump signed a pair of executive orders prohibiting U.S. residents from doing business with Chinese-owned TikTok and WeChat apps after 45 days. On August 28th, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe resigned for health reasons. And on last day of August, Indian and Chinese troops locked horns again along their disputed border. That was the most fierce conflicts between the two countries since 1962. On September 28th, the first war in 2020 still came. The belligerents are Armenia and Azerbaijan. On October 2nd, U.S. President Trump tweeted that he and the First Lady, Melania Trump, had tested positive for the coronavirus. On October 19th, Japan decided to release more than 1 million tons of tritium contaminated water from the stricken Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant into the Pacific. On November 7th, Sleepy Joe was projected the winner of the U.S. presidential election after he was declared the winner of the battleground states of Pennsylvania and Nevada, netting him 20 and 6 electoral votes respectively, bringing his total to 279, more than the 270 needed to win the White House.
It's easier to tell your kids character matters. It matters. Telling the truth matters. Being a good person matters.
On November 15th, it was a momentous day as leaders of ASEAN member states, Australia, China, Japan, Republic of Korea, and New Zealand witnessed the signing of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or RCEP, the world's biggest free trade pact to date. On November 24th, China's robotic Chang'e 5 mission launched from Wenchang Space Launch Center in South China's Hainan province, rising into the sky atop a Long March 5 rocket. After 26 days, it successfully returned to Earth with 2 kilogram sample from the moon. On November 26th, the total number of coronavirus cases across the globe surpassed 60 million. On December 19th, the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced the government got new evidence of a variant of coronavirus, which the Prime Minister asserted was as much as 70% more transmissible than previous versions. Mr. Johnson imposed a wholesale lockdown on London and most of England's southeast, which means the failure of the UK's herd immunity. That's pretty much of 2020. Although there were catastrophes and conflicts, there were also hope and harvest. In this year, you and me, every one of us was the tiny spark, but we together converged into a bright sun. What's past is prologue. I'm Kathy Chen, that's all for today's video. If you like it, just subscribe and leave your comment. Bye!